Ketamine, the powerful sedative given to Elijah McClain, is deemed safe and could soon be used again by Colorado paramedics. Healthcare workers have figured out how to leave their job and get it back with more money.
We have seen an employee leave one of our care centers, go to work for a staffing agency, and within days return to that same care community at a much higher rate of pay.
And it's keeping Colorado's hospitals from freeing up beds. A Denver City Councilman wants drivers to slow down in neighborhoods, why it will cost more than $1 million to reduce the speed. And our Noel Brennan rejoices now that his favorite activity played with a disc will no longer be confused with another activity played with a disc. He'll explain next. There could be a simple solution to freeing up hospital bed space in Colorado, because hundreds of people hospitalized do not need to be in a hospital anymore. But as Mark Salinger found out, staffing shortages in nursing homes give them nowhere else to go, and long-term care facilities can't afford to open up more beds.
It's no secret nursing homes have faced challenge after challenge during the pandemic. Now there's a new one.
You have people right now that are sitting in Colorado hospitals that should be in long-term care settings that can't go there because there aren't workers to care for them.
The state estimates more than 300 people are waiting tonight to be transferred out of a hospital and into a nursing home or care facility. Doug Farmer with the Colorado Healthcare Association says there's plenty of space in nursing homes.
There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 vacant beds in the state of Colorado right now.
That's higher than normal, but not all of those beds are staffed.
Because of their staffing challenges, they've had to close, say, an entire wing or an entire unit. And so those beds are available, but they're unstaffed.
Mike Willis is the director of the Colorado Office of Emergency Management. He's leading the effort to try and find enough people to staff every facility in the healthcare sector. The extra patients in hospitals are making an impact.
The shortages in the long-term care facilities restrict the hospital's ability to transfer those patients out of the hospital.
We know by now the entire state is short-staffed. But when it comes to nursing homes, Doug thinks he knows why.
In many instances, it is most definitely price gouging.
He says staffing agencies are hiring employees away from their facilities and offering to pay them more. The staffing agencies then turn around and charge the care facilities a lot more money to hire them back.
The staff member themselves may make a little bit more money, but in reality, most of the increased cost is going into the pocket of the staffing agency.
He says it's gotten to a point where care facilities are forced to admit fewer people than deal with the increased costs. So the Colorado Healthcare Association is the advocacy group for long-term care facilities in Colorado. They say they're working with the state to try and get more funding to open up more beds. So what's the long-term solution here, Marshall? It might just be convincing more people to go into healthcare so that years down the line, you have a steady stream of people going into the industry.
All right, you were talking about the story in the newsroom, and I said, what's stopping a long-term healthcare facility from saying, we're no longer going to accept hires from the staffing agency and start to put up a block so that they can't go to the staffing agency?
It's a worthy question, but then you have facilities all across the entire country competing for those staff members and saying, we'll pay more, bring them over here. Staffing shortages are everywhere. So the way that the emergency management director told me today, he called it a competitive market. So
anything to reduce hospital bed space for sure, but more power to people who can go from the one job, leave, and come back for twice the pay.
Although most of that money that goes when they come back for more funds, most of that money is going to the staffing agencies. It's not going directly into the pocket of the nurses and everybody working at those agencies.
Now we have a conundrum.
It's a problem.
Name Doppelganger. Good to see you in person here.
Thanks, Marshall.
Well, support for ketamine, a powerful sedative previously used in emergency situations by paramedics, could soon be allowed again in Colorado. That's because a panel of medical experts reviewed the use of ketamine as a result of the 2019 death of Elijah McClain. He was restrained by police in a carotid hold and given ketamine by paramedics and died days later. This panel calls ketamine a safe drug for chemical restraint. The panel recommends paramedics only use ketamine if a patient requires immediate evaluation, is not responsive to de-escalation efforts, and that medic is prevented from safely getting the patient to the hospital. The committee also rejected diagnosing someone as having excited delirium, saying that's discriminatory and lacks a uniform definition. The state health department now must decide if they will create rules based on these recommendations. Now, support for unfounded election conspiracies was given a platform today. the steps of the Mesa County Courthouse in Grand Junction. The rally was to support embattled Republican Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters and Sharona Bishop, former campaign manager for Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Both had their homes searched by federal, state, and local law enforcement 2 weeks ago. That search was related to Peters' breach of her own voting systems and sharing the data files with conspiracy theorists. The rally had plenty of the usual of what you would expect: cries of election rigging, denouncements of the investigation into Peters and Bishop, calls of support for a lawsuit against Democratic Secretary of State Jena Griswold, George Soros, and Hunter Biden references. The conspiracy theory bingo card filled up pretty quickly, and that's when another Colorado Republican gubernatorial candidate gave a nod to those who support unfounded and unsupported election fraud.
You know, folks, I stand with you. I stand with Sharona and I stand with Tina. Why? Because it's about the Constitution and it's about our country, America.
I called and texted Lopez, wanting to know what he meant by standing with Tina Peters and Sharona Bishop, aside from standing by their election conspiracy claims. He sent me a text about respect for the First Amendment and those who believe in the U.S. election process integrity. I asked again if he believes there was fraud in the 2020 election, and he sent the exact same text a second time. Lopez, the former Parker mayor, also ran for governor in 2018 and finished third in the Republican primary. Medicaid providers who face working for free next year will not have to pay back money for counseling services they conducted. And this might be a win for vulnerable Coloradans who rely on Medicaid, because providers were threatening to leave over this issue. Last week, we told you about the 199 providers who received recoupment letters from CCHA, Colorado Community Health Alliance, the Medicaid program for those 8 counties. The letters, some for $17,000 and $18,000, called for providers to pay back money for services they already provided or risk having it deducted from claims they file next year. CCHA claimed that the providers failed to fill out a required unique ID number on their claim forms. Today, CCHA sent providers a letter saying they would no longer seek the money back and would return the money for those who already paid it back. You help out with a new Colorado nonprofit every Wednesday through your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. And for the first time, we're double dipping for one nonprofit, one of your most successful fundraising efforts yet. Here's Kyle.
Back by popular demand, it's one of the most loved Word of Thanks micro-giving campaigns of all time. So let's one more time buy holiday gifts for every kid in Denver Public Housing. So here's how this works each year. The low-income families in Denver Public Housing can sign up for help with holiday gifts for their kids. It's first come, first served until the funds run out. Imagine being a parent brave enough to ask for that help and then being told, "I'm sorry, we can't help you provide a gift for your child this year." We kept that from happening to anybody last year, and we can do it again this year. Your Word of Thanks donations bought a gift for every single child in Denver Public Housing last year. You exceeded every expectation for those folks, so let's do it again. The holiday gift drive is run through the nonprofit Friends of Denver Housing Authority. Every dollar goes towards those holiday gifts. In fact, your generosity kept coming in last year after they covered gifts for all the kids, so those funds were held over to start this year's gift drive. But there's not enough in there right now to cover gifts for all of the nearly 4,000 kids in Denver's public housing. Year one of this micro-giving campaign was one of the largest that you ever put together as a community. This is really pretty simple. These are families who could truly use our help. Their names are put on a list in the order that they sign up for kids' gifts. And we don't want some family to be told no, that they're just too far down on the list to get help with a holiday gift. So scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 and I'll send you that link to donate. I'll match the first 50 donations of $5. So this week, what that means is if you cover 10 kids' gifts, I'll cover 10 kids' gifts, and then we're off and running. Your generosity made the holidays wonderful for thousands of families last year. Let's do it again.
73 degrees in December? That ties a record high for this day. Well, December 1st seems to be the day that the weather is one extreme or the other. And Colorado's getting a new pro sport. This is not it. This one. And we know someone who actually plays it, who wants you to know this new team is exciting news. Next. 73 degrees in December. Sounds like what my grandparents had their thermostat set to. Denver tied a record today when Mother Earth set her thermostat at 73 degrees. That's a pretty incredible number, especially considering what the weather was like on this day 108 years ago. In 1913, from December 1st to December 5th, we all remember almost 4 feet of snow fell in Denver, 45.7 inches. I'd go for 45.7 degrees right now. To this day, that is still Denver's biggest snowstorm. December 1st in Denver, constantly setting the bar high, one way or the other.
Hello, December. What a beautiful sunrise and way to start the new month. But wow, was it warm. 73, we tied a record for the date, and we could go warmer tomorrow. Average highs are in the 40s, running way above average across the state again today. High pressure will allow in a few high and mid-layer clouds, but all the moisture stays to the north of us. That cold and snow will miss Colorado, moving through Minneapolis and Chicago. So with southwest winds, we're on our way to another record tomorrow. Fair skies and 39 tonight, sunshine and 74 would tie a record for the date. We do get you into the weekend with a little cooling trend, maybe some mountain snow Sunday and Monday, but I'm tracking 2 storms for next week. Chance for snow and colder weather on Tuesday and then again next Thursday. Let's hope we're overdue.
What great weather for Colorado's new pro sports team. We have football, hockey, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, rugby. Some will argue we have baseball too. What's missing? No, not that. No, guess again. I'll give you a hint. They're going to be called the Colorado Summit, the 25th team in a 10-year-old league. Nothing? The American Ultimate Disc League has expanded to Colorado. And that got our Noel Brennan super excited until someone in the newsroom confused the Disc League Ultimate Frisbee with disc golf, which you're going to tell me is a completely different sport.
Yeah, Marshall. As an Ultimate player for 15 years and a reporter for the past decade, I'm just grateful we're able to finally share a story about Ultimate that does not begin with explaining the rules of Ultimate. You know, there's no need to remind you that it's a game played on a football-sized field where players throw a disc back and forth to advance it into the end zone. I mean, come on, the sport's been around since 1969. Nobody's confusing it with disc golf anymore, right? And Colorado, now home to a new professional Ultimate team, the Summit. That is big news. Of course, we can't be that surprised. We know Colorado is home to a huge Ultimate community, a community that extends beyond the borders of this state, stretches across the country and around the globe. We know Ultimate is played by more than 8 million people in more than 100 countries, that there's a national governing body in the United States with divisions for men's, women's, and mixed teams, not to mention high school and college teams. We know that, like we know that Ultimate is under consideration to become an Olympic sport in 2028. We know all this because Ultimate has been around for a while. And I know that you know this is not called a Frisbee, it's a disc. Marshall, catch.
See, I went with you told me to do the pancake, and I didn't want to do that because I wanted to do the one-handed thing.
The pancake is the sure way to catch it. You got to go to the pancake if you want to catch it on live TV.
And I saved it from scratching the desk.
There you go.
Or the gloves. Was it because it was cold, or those are special?
Some
Frisbee
people
gloves?
wear gloves, but not everyone does. So, but good job. I'm
Okay.
impressed.
Thanks. I'm keeping this. Postal workers are busy helping Santa during the holidays, but it's a bit reverse in Dacono. A couple of postal workers are giving back through a charity called Samaritan's Purse. The charity collects shoe boxes full of toys and supplies for kids and young teens and distributes them where they're needed. Corey Cash and Unique Bivens work at the post office in Dacono, and they packed 10 of those boxes full of things like stickers, toys, colored pencils, coloring books, and essentials like soap, deodorant, masks, and hand wipes.
It's just a super, in my opinion, inexpensive way to give back to your community. You know, I'm just hoping that at least, you know, a kid opens the box and they feel special. They feel, you know, like they're not forgotten during the holidays.
And that sounds really neat. You can still help and donate your own box. Samaritan's Purse offers shipping labels so you can mail the boxes to them. They even got a drop-off location in Englewood. You can find out more information at samaritanspurse.org.
Why lawmakers think fewer speed limit signs will be the key to making neighborhood streets safer. And it's just another masshole, driving on Colorado's roads without paying their fair share. Oh, this is the state's vaccination bus? This story just got better. Next.
If Denver lowers the speed limit in neighborhoods from 25 miles per hour to 20, there will be fewer speed limit signs, and that will somehow cost more than $1 million. City Council is considering reducing neighborhood speed limits from 25 to 20. A neighborhood street is one of those without a yellow divider line. The goal is to address Vision Zero traffic deaths that have increased to a high this year. If this happens, the city will remove the 25-mile-per-hour signs in the middle of the blocks and replace them with 20-mile-per-hour signs at the entrance to the neighborhood. If you don't see a sign, you're to assume it's 20 miles per hour.
More often than not, that's 5 or 6 blocks into a neighborhood, and maybe 5 to 10 people see that a day. Our goal is now to remove that sign and place a 20-mile-an-hour sign right off of our major arterials so that everyone entering that neighborhood would see that 20-mile-an-hour sign. So there would actually be fewer signs on our local streets, but they would be seen by more people.
This is still in the discussion phase, but removing the current speed limit signs and adding back fewer at more strategic places is estimated to cost $1.2 million. And because of staffing issues, the city's transportation department would likely contract that work out to someone else.
Tonight's next question comes to us from Rana and Darren in Fort Collins. They were following behind one of the state's mobile vaccine buses and noticed it had out-of-state plates, Massachusetts. Rana wondered if the state isn't paying taxes and fees since it has out-of-state plates.
Most popular question during the pandemic about license plate. We brought Darren and Rana's question to the state health department, which apparently contracts the bus through a Massachusetts-based company. The company provides the bus, cold storage for the vaccine, and the healthcare staff that administers the shots. And the plates are from out of state because the bus and everyone that comes with it are as well. And there is no such thing as a dumb question, because I would have been curious about that too. If you have one you want answered, send it our way. Getting answers is our kind of thing, but we'd like it if you could record a video or audio message of yourself asking the question, then email it to next@9news.com. Chances are, if you're wondering about it, someone else is too. Making the holidays special for kids who might not otherwise have something to celebrate, your Word of Thanks micro giving campaign today is a throwback, and it's moving on up next.
Your Word of Thanks campaign this week is an encore of one of your best efforts ever. Buying holiday gifts for every single kid in Denver Public Housing, so their parents can sign up for help with a gift, but when the funds run out, then families are turned away. Last year, you all came in and covered the entire list in Denver Public Housing, all of the families, close to 4,000 children. So let's do it again. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491, and I'll send you that link to join me in donating. What a wonderful thing for us to be able to look back on all through the holiday season and the year to come. That every single kid in Denver Public Housing had a holiday gift waiting for them, thanks to a bunch of strangers who decided that together we could make it happen.
And we ask you, listen, it's already up to more than $30,000. And Ray writes in, thanks for the micro giving campaign. As a family, we decided to donate a chunk of our holiday money to Thanks this week. We don't need another thing, but others need food. Best, Ray. Thank you, Ray. And I'm going to end this trying to make a new team here, the new pro sports team. I hope someone's there to catch it. I'm going to have to work on my form, but I did it.